Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another weekly Monday installment of ISV Connect Live. It is my pleasure and honor to welcome Marco and Tony from K3, a great global ISV. And before we get to them, I wanted to just kind of set the tone for these weekly events if you haven't been to them before. So we have these Monday at 8 o'clock in the morning, West Coast time, to really get a sense for all of you watching, either watching live or maybe watching a replay, to learn more about our business application ISVs, particularly our global ones, who have such an extent and reach to drive business outcomes. And so as you're watching, we encourage you to, in the LinkedIn window, just type in, as we first start out, where you're watching from. Kind of think about it as the Olympics. It's such a global opportunity to kind of learn and hear from each of you. So if you want to type into the LinkedIn window where you're watching from, maybe you're watching from the UK where Marco and Tony are, maybe you're watching from Italy, maybe you're watching from somewhere in the US, wherever it is, feel free to put that in the window. Also, during the conversation, if there's kind of something that catches your interest or something that you would like to ask, have me ask either Marco or Tony, feel free to put that in the window too, and I'll be happy to put that up as a question as we go through the conversations. And also during the event, you'll see in the LinkedIn experience, you have the like, support, celebrate, etc. If there's interesting conversation that we are having and it's interesting to you, please use one of those as well, because it's a great opportunity for us to also understand and see is the content that we're sharing resonating. So with that being said, welcome, Marco. Welcome, Tony, to the ISV Connect live session. As we start off the conversation, why don't you describe both of your roles at K3, but also the one thing as I prepped you, that all my guests go through is also share what's one thing that's not on your LinkedIn profile that you'd like to share with this global audience. So Marco, we'll start with you, and then Tony will come to you.
So good morning, Brian, and good afternoon to all of our listeners from Europe and Asia. So I'm the Chief Executive Officer for K3 Business Technology Group. As you said, the company headquartered in the UK, listed at the London stock market, and primarily focused on retail, fashion, and apparel, as a software as a service solution provider. So the embarrassing part is the private, non-LinkedIn official part of it. So let me share that I'm actually passionate about exploring and meeting new people from different cultures. I've done that throughout my life. Sometimes a bit better if it also comes with a bit of adventure while traveling. And one of the example is that once I completed a 13,000 kilometers journey across 11 countries, terminating into the middle of the Syrian desert. Wow. And I had a fantastic experience in meeting people from different cultures. And I loved it to bits. I did other trips as well like that, but that was still very close to my heart and my memory.
Oh, Marco, well, thank you. That's interesting. Like in the Syrian desert and all that walking. I can imagine if you had your, let's say, Apple Watch or something, like the number of kilometers steps you had taken in that journey. It must have been. A
lot of drinks and bottles of water when you are traveling by motorbike on 45 degrees in the shadow kind of country.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks for sharing that, Marco. So Tony, we'll go to you about your role at K3, and then what's one thing that's not on your LinkedIn profile you'd like to share?
Yeah, of course. Hi, everybody. Great to be here. So I'm Tony Bryant. I'm Business Development Director for K3. Primarily running the GSIV, reporting into the leadership team of K3. Been with K3, 14 years plus. I call myself a bit of a Microsoft ambassador because I've been on that journey on a number of products and still with those products in terms of their journey. And really cool to be part of the GSIV group and extending our portfolio and our breadth across the globe. Now comes the embarrassing bit, but not quite embarrassing. So I call it a bit of a claim to fame, Brian, here. which is an odd one because way back many years ago, this is probably more around a pub chat over a beer. But my claim to fame was I played with Eric Clapton in a jamming session in London Orange Studios many years ago, and it sort of stuck with me ever since. And more than happy to have a chat with those folk who are musically focused on this call today. I'm sure over a beer we can talk about those sort of things, but that's the claim to fame.
Oh, I love it, Tony. Well, now I have to ask, what instrument do you play? Is it a guitar or is it something else?
No, I'm the guy in the back, the drummer.
The drummer. Wow.
The guy.
So there you go, riding with the king, as they say.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it takes forever to set up and ever to pack up.
That's
So
right.
all the rest of the band get the glory, not the drummer.
Yeah, well, I love it, Tony, because I love music. I mean, that's one of the things that I can't wait to get back to is live music in different cities. Except, like Marco was saying too, when you go all those countries and you have the opportunity to experience the culture, music is one of those amazing things. And thank you for sharing. I'll have to now talk to more about that because Eric Clapton, I love Eric Clapton as well. For those of you who don't know, is like a very famous American guitar player. So yeah, let's we should definitely I'll put that as a reminder myself when we do meet face to face to actually have a bigger chat. So before we get to the first question to kick us off, I do want to do a quick shout out. Thank you for those who put in the window. So Ewan, I love taking the Olympic mention. I mentioned Team Great Britain on the podium in the UK. James and also another person, Team Great Britain. And I apologize if I not pronounce your name, Inger from Sweden. And then you'll enjoy this, Marco. We do have, I don't know how if that's David or a different pronunciation.
Davide.
Yeah, Davide. Yeah, great, Davide. So from Italy. So fantastic. Well, thanks again, people watching live. If there's other people, we'd love to hear where you're watching from. And also, again, if you have questions for us as we go through this, feel free to put in the window. So let's kick it off. For people who don't know K3, and you referenced it, Marco, on the retail fashion side, describe to the audience between you and Tony, what are the outcomes that you help to drive with Microsoft? Because you think about, especially now with all the changes and things that retailers and fashion designers had to do to kind of embrace acceleration to transformation. Give a sense for the audience listening and watching, like what are the outcomes that K3 helps to solve with Microsoft?
Sure, Brian, I can get started. And as you rightly said, the whole world of fashion, apparel, designer, whether brands, manufacturing brands or retailers, are witnessing a profound transformation. That's not just driven by the recent COVID events, but I would say that it has been there in the making for quite a number of years, primarily around the fact that in fashion, everything is actually accelerated. So back in 25 years ago, when I kind of started working in this industry, fashion retailer would have normally 4 collections: a spring, a summer, a fall, a winter collection, and that collection would start a year in advance, and then practically you would have all of the time to actually plan your collection, your assortment, so on and so forth, and ultimately the process will end up with the merchandise, being distributed from the warehouse into the shops, etc., etc. Now everything is changing. If you want to actually be an effective and successful retailer, all of these processes are leaner and faster. You're not any longer talking about the 4 collections, but it's a continuum of new collections coming into the stores. And therefore, fundamentally, all of the processes are dramatically accelerated. That's on the supply and on the retail side. But also, more broadly, consumer demand much more, from the brands. They don't want any longer just purchasing an item, but they want actually to feel and recognize themselves into the brand which they purchase and they consume. So retailers and brands have to become much more authentic in the way they develop the relationship with their consumers. So K3 is actually there to help and support, our clients in what we call C2C, concept to consumer processes. So fundamentally helping together with the Microsoft to enable all of the end-to-end processes that go from the design of the assortments and the conceptualization of what you actually want to do to the manufacturing, all the way down to actually the order, the supply, the inventory management, the fixing of the pricing, the allocation of the stocks to the stores, or indeed, the sale, whether it's on store or online or in any other ways. So that's really about us, okay? We help the clients in that. Let me mention one point, which is in the title for this LinkedIn web chat, which is really the sustainability. This industry has been one of the, for good or bad, one of the very successful industries in the world, and obviously we have continued the growth of consumers and consumption in fashion, retail, apparel, etc. But obviously, it's also an industry that is heavily deregulated and that hasn't really contributed to the planet. Okay, so nowadays I think there is a significant change of direction. This industry is becoming much more aware of the responsibility that the industry has in making the business that they do sustainable. And we have in our solution a very strong set of capabilities to help and enable these, sustainable, conscious brands in doing the right things for the world.
No, I love it, Marco. What a great intro, and it's a good segue to some of the things we're going to talk about later in the dialogue. When you mentioned sustainability, for those of you who weren't aware, at Inspire, our big partner event a few weeks ago, we actually announced the sustainability for cloud scenario, and so I know we're going to talk about that and retail side, because of course that's the other component where there's a lot of synergies between ISVs like K3 and Microsoft, because of the ability for an ISV to latch on to many of the things and the platform capabilities we do for industry-specific scenarios, as you well described, Marco. I think the other great thing is I think about your message of concept to consumer. I love that term. I hadn't heard that before. And you think about it, and this may not be the best analogy, but I think about for anyone who's watched the 101 Dalmatians redo that they did on Disney. It's a little bit about that, because you have Cruella, who actually, and I don't want to spoil the show, but it has to deal with fashion and retail. And so when you mention collections, I just think about someone who's on a sketchboard drawing out what that may look like to the end consumer, and how do you make that process real. And everything you just said, Marco, is fantastic, because that's what K3 does. You take that information all the way from when a designer is sketching out whatever that is, to create the collection, to drive that all the way to then have that. How does that then apparel and solution get to, or fashion?
Absolutely. And there are a lot of very specialized processes in doing that, Brian. And sometimes, and actually now more than anything, it starts before someone starts sketching a product on a piece of paper. It starts by thinking about what sort of fabric, what sort of collection, what sort of good is actually going to be sellable out there. And it's also about ensuring that within the process, you actually really ultimately optimize the profitability of the company, which inherently is also making sure that you reduce as much as you can the waste, the unsold goods, the goods that you have to put out there because nobody really wanted them. So that's where, the world of design and creativity merges with the world of industrialization of the fashion retailing, okay, and with the world of sustainability in itself.
Love it. I love it, Marco. So that's a good segue, Tony, if you want to add anything, but we can go to the next question as well. Is there anything that you wanted to specifically add?
I think, just a couple of bits really. I think there's some major big bets going on with the industry of fashion. Some of those are aligned, obviously, about digital transformation, which is a natural. I think their business models, there's a lot of business model changing within fashion, and particularly the growth of marketplaces out in the marketplaces globally now. And more importantly, about some of those business models about renting of garments, looking at the returns management of those garments and doing a lot more recycling, becoming more green as we touched on sustainability. Supply chain collaboration is now even more essential as we go across the globe and shrinking the globe to meet some of those new consumer demands. And the platform is an equally an important part of playing into that space. And the agility of Dynamics now, and particularly around 365, and the agility of looking at the components which we sell to via our fantastic partner network, means that we can get to market faster and quicker and deliver some of those business pains in a journey which is forever going. We talk about delivering today and architecting tomorrow. That's quite an important message out to the world of fashion, because there's some pains today, but more important, the thinking around tomorrow, where our business can add that value, I think is equally a good point.
That's great, Tony. And it's a good segue too because you mentioned, 14 years at K3 is a long time to be at a single company. You've seen that partnership flourish. So talk a little bit about what has that been like being in the Microsoft ecosystem? Because you hit a really key value point of why partnerships exist with Microsoft, is that not just the partnership with Microsoft itself, but the partner ecosystem, the partner-to-partner engagement. So describe a little bit about K3's ecosystem, Microsoft partner ecosystem experience particularly with ISV Connect.
Yeah, I mean, there's two things on that journey. I think we can't do what we do without having an awesome partner community. So that's number one, and that's a mix between global SIs and strategic intent across global territories, but also local, where local partners in the mid-market have done some fantastic wins collectively with us. So that's an important part of how we connect with that. And what's happened over the last couple of years, I suppose, with ISV Connect means that we are connecting better than we've ever done before. Our model is very much indirect, although we do touch some direct opportunities, and that's probably via Microsoft with us direct, and then flipping that to the partner. But ultimately, that ecosystem growing, whether it be enterprise or mid-market, has certainly served us well over the past, and we see that growing and growing and growing as time moves on. And I think it's also important to recognise those global players where we want to open up in new territories, and they will be really important for us to do a lot more work with them as we move into those new territories. So we're delighted that we can converse, we can transact, and that means better license obviously for Microsoft as well, in a win-win. So ISV Connect is an important part of what we do.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. Yeah, it's been a great honor and pleasure to be working with you guys because of the great value you bring to the ecosystem, especially around this very, as Marco said, there's some unique business processes that are involved in fashion and retail. So this is a good segue into example of customer stories where I'm sure, I know we have many different ones, but can both you and Marco and you, Tony, kind of describe some of your favorite examples of where we've been able to deliver that concept to consumer outcome that Marco described?
Maybe I can give you a broad answer, on what type of clients that normally really look at our solutions, and then maybe we can do a couple of specific examples. But broadly, Brian, reality is that as a part of this digital transformation, deep transformation that is occurring, we are seeing a lot of clients completely rethinking their current application environment. Okay, and the traditional legacy ERP solutions with the bolt-ons, to satisfy this or that process start showing the time. And fundamentally, that's where really us, together with the Microsoft and our ISVs, have the majority of our target clients. So clients that really have a genuine desire to redesign and transform their processes end to end, and fundamentally create this connection end to end, because again, you need to act very fastly on data coming from consumers all the way up to the supply chain and the collaboration. And the tighter you create these processes, the better you are able to actually really transform your business and thrive in this fastly changing world of retail and fashion. So broadly speaking, that's where we actually think we have the majority of our opportunity. And you might think that this set of clients is limited in number. In fact, it isn't. Okay, we have a lot of large clients, global, very highly recognizable brands that fundamentally are looking for this type of transformation. Some of them come because they struggle in collaboration on the supply chain. Some because they are looking for better automation around the collection and range management. Some because they do have issues around the pricing and markdowns. Some because they actually want to have a truly unified consumer experience supported by a truly unified set of systems and applications. And that's where we actually really can thrive. We have a number of retailers in Europe and some globally. We have a number of sport and apparel companies that are really forward-thinking. We have a number of brands in outdoor that are actually are or have embraced our solutions. And most of the times our clients, actually all of the times our clients recognize the value that we deliver to them in specifically these areas. Maybe Tony, you might want to add a couple of real specific examples.
I think, what I'm pleased about is the fact the diversity of our customer base, and the diversity is around whether they be fast, whether they be niche, whether they be luxury, whether it be sporting goods. We seem to come a bit of a fame on the sporting goods vertical with a number of those brands which we've done, and of course the synergies around that is a lot of those customers are on a customer forum, so we can learn collectively, commercially, of the things we're doing. So great brands coming out of, some fast ones out of Germany. We've got some senior luxury ones out of Canada. We've got some big boys out of North America, which obviously we're supporting along with the Microsoft journey. Some of those are certainly on D365 thinking now, where they've been old AX, moving into the new world of D365. That can give us a great opportunity to expand based upon our current solution. So we really welcome that. But the message to get across is the diversity of the type. So it's not just a one fits all. It's very much going into different sectors within the fashion and apparel market. And some of those, like I say, can be extremely fast in terms of fast fashion, fast turnover. Marco talked about the responses of looking at seasonality. Well, a lot of these seasonal aspects are virtually date stamped because they're that fast. I mean, they're changing virtually every month. And that's one element which our product and the agility around our product can deliver. So yeah, number of great brands. You'll be able to see a lot of those on our website, and obviously we can show that as well. One of the big things which I think is also important around the concept of consumer quickly is the fact that we have another sort of sub brand within that is made to measure, ready to wear. And the made to measure bit obviously is the theme around fashion naturally, But made to measure is that what we do and what we sell is that we don't want people to customize the life out of the Dynamics platform, but to take the made to measure, fit for purpose, fit for the apparel and fashion industry, and then the made to measure ready to wear means it is literally ready to wear. So let's put it in faster, more agile, and get an outcome quicker going that road than obviously building product, which is then hard to maintain. So that's our message. I think that's a strong one regarding a sub-brand made to measure, ready to wear. But hopefully that's a good message out to the market.
It is, Tony. And it's funny you say that, because at a global level, within Microsoft, the quick story I can share is that one of the nice things that our leadership did was they gave us an opportunity to go to a shoe apparel manufacturer that people are familiar with. I don't know if they're a customer or not, but that everything you just said is spot on in regards to the what I've observed from a retailer perspective of what people want to do is personalization. And to your point, they're ready to wear, where we had the opportunity to go to a website, configure the shoe, color, specific brand or type of shoe we wanted, and have it be made to order specifically to us. So it's very personalized. And then shipped to our door. And to your point, Marco, and what you shared, and Tony, what you shared, that's what retailers want. I mean, that's what consumers want too. They want the ability to take something and really personalize it for themselves and have that ready, so that, again, the person who's actually the retailer who's actually providing that capability, kind of what you just said, Marco, is, do they have the right materials? Do they have the right supply chain to take that customization and then deliver that to an end customer?
Absolutely, Brian. And I know a number of luxury brands that allow you to actually online insert and order your luxury item, a bag or whatever, with your initials on it.
That's
so
right.
The applications need to actually cater not just for the one-to-many retails, but also for the one-on-one retail that is actually prevailing and growing very fastly in the industry as well.
That's right. And so I know we're going to run out of time, and I want to go through, make sure that there's one last question I want to ask you. And it's a good segue from one of the questions, but let me do a quick shout out for the other people we didn't get a chance. So Kira from the US, thank you for watching. We actually have someone up late in Singapore. So thank you for the person watching, Sebastian, watching in Singapore, because I know it's super late your time. Another person from the UK, Wales. Thanks, Josh. Someone from France. So thanks, Bogdan, for watching from France. And then this is a good segue when we talk about what's next. So you wanted to ask the question from an industry perspective. How much pressure is the change, sustainability, transformation of retail habits, et cetera, is reacting to threats versus looking ahead at growth opportunities? And I think that's a good question to also talk about. Like, we talked about sustainability a little bit, retail for cloud. Maybe we can put that all together with this question and say, what's next for K3, and what are the things that K3 is planning to go do in the future to—
Yes, absolutely. Maybe I can answer that by saying that we think, first of all, that sustainability, it's a responsibility, for everybody in the industry, for us, as a software company, but obviously for all of our clients, whether they are retailers or brands. And what is actually changing is clearly that there is emerging legal landscape whereby governments are actually imposing on retailers and brands to actually create transparency in the supply chain and certify that their suppliers and subcontractors are actually certifying that are using the proper products, that they are not using toxic materials, that they're using ethical labor, etc., etc. So there is an emerging legal landscape that fundamentally is pushing the agenda. But I would say that more than anything, it is actually the consumer that are pushing this sustainability agenda. And there are thousands and thousands of new brands out there, Brian, that are actually embodying this concept of sustainability, within their products. They certify their products. They are able to tell you how much water consumption or carbon footprint they are generating. And when I say they are able to do it, they are able to do it at a granular level, not just having a consultant coming at the end of the year say, oh, from your electricity bill, I find that you have been, consuming so much. What we do with our software is that we are able to associate, and we have been able for years, to associate to every single product the material, the certifications, the supplier certifications for that specific item or good. So we are able fundamentally at a granular level to show to the consumer what that product is made of and how much carbon footprint that is. Now, our objective is to actually take this and expand it upstream in terms of feature and functionalities and downstream, so that fundamentally we can really cater already, but even better in the future, to those authentic brands that believe that sustainability is a key major differentiator. And someone think that sustainability is just an additional cost. It isn't. It's actually a great opportunity because, again, if you have the right solution, the right software solution, you can fundamentally also reduce the waste and therefore increase the profitability. So I think that IT, generally speaking, software and us as a mission for K3 have a great role to play in helping the environment and helping those consumer and brands that really recognize sustainability is an important element.
Well said, Marco. Before we get closer to wrap up, Tony, did you have anything to add?
No, all I'd say, it absolutely aligns with the industry vertical of sustainability, which you kicked off at Inspire, which you mentioned, Brian. But also, it absolutely fills where we are with the industry for retail aspect of driving that further, whether it be through commerce, through retail, through end-to-end supply chain, through blockchain, which is coming on, through all of these aspects of change which we've got from a ERP perspective within Dynamics, with our corporate social responsibility, of which sustainability, green, environmental issues will be part of, means that this is a really great time to get really underneath the hood and deliver really great business outcomes to our customers, to Microsoft, and to our own internal environment in which we trade. So I'm super excited about the whole thing, really am.
No, I love it, Tony, Marco, and I love the comment you made, Marco. It's not just like this extra cost that you're going to charge potential customers, just built into what you're doing long term, because it's the right thing to do. And I love how K3 is really focusing the efforts around that, and it's just having to be part of the business process, a part of the DNA, and that you've already started that journey. Even before we announced the Sustainability Cloud, that was already part of the DNA of the processes you're doing. So as we wrap up, thank you all for watching. So as we wrap up, Marco and Tony, how do people learn more? So of course, if we have apparel buyers or fashion retailers listening to this and like, wow, this is super interesting, what would be your recommendation, Marco and Tony, for them to learn more about K3 and the pursuits that you have?
Reach out to us, look into our website, contact us, and contact our business partners, and as well as Microsoft. We have plenty of friends within the Microsoft corporation as employees, as well as plenty of Microsoft ISVs that know us. So I feel that we are in a unique position because we feel we are really the only truly genuine focused fashion and apparel ISV player, in the business working alongside Microsoft. So sometimes we are not that well known. This opportunity gives us a little bit of a broader audience, but feel free to reach out, and we are happy to support any inquiry.
Great. Yeah, and let me flash this up here as well. We made it super simple, where this is a compile of really good resources and content that Marco and Tony provided to us that essentially is a nice compile of many different links and resources for you to consume. And so if you just want to bookmark this, aka.ms/K3, that is a really good set of resources to leverage, as well as, because we're doing this on LinkedIn, please don't hesitate to either reach out to myself, to Marco, to Tony. We're all on LinkedIn. We all have LinkedIn profiles. Send us a connection request. Send us questions that you have that may not have been addressed during this conversation. So with that, let's go ahead and wrap up. So Marco and Tony, thank you so much for taking the time on a Monday to share all these great insights on what K3 can do in fashion apparel, retail scenarios in the industry itself. Any last parting comments before we wrap up the session for the day?
So again, Brian, many thanks for giving us the opportunity to talk to you and to our audience. Again, we're very committed to the relationship with Microsoft, even more now that you have announced your own sustainability agenda. I think we are really joined at the hips, and we can drive a lot of value to our common customers and prospects. So looking forward to working with you and all of the ISVs that are listening to us, within the audience.
Okay, Tony.
And for me, it's the fact is we wake up in the morning and we think retail, fashion, and apparel. Nothing else, nothing more. We do, and we'd be delighted to make further connections outside of this call. So, thanks, Brian, for setting it up. It's been really good. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Stay well, be safe, everybody. Look forward to our next installment next week, Monday at 8 a.m. Thanks again, Tony. Thanks again, Marco. Take care. Have a great week, everybody. Talk soon.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.